When I make work, I'm constantly thinking of the land use, how we view landscape in our society. And I've read some books that have informed my opinion on that and shaped my point of view. But primarily, my interest in land comes from being a child and being excited by it, being mystified by it, uh, exploring, learning from it. I'm wondering if you have anything in your life that is similar to that in terms of, are you dipping into the same well for each piece of music that you create, or are you constantly looking for new sources of inspiration? Um, and also, have any books that you've read or paintings that you've seen or other musicians that you've heard really changed the way you approach where your music comes from?
Um, so, is there a certain place or thing that I continuously draw inspiration from? I would say, in general, literature is my main source of inspiration, and both sort of whole books and but also, I mean, just sort of images that I get when reading, and there it can be like a sentence that sticks with me, something that evokes images that I sort of weave into my own sort of fantasies, in a way. But it can also be because I think that literature for me opens up my imagination to things, because when you read, you sort of populate the world of the sort of fiction, the narrative, with your own memories, and you allow sort of disparate places and times to converge into one. So I mean, the kitchen in one novel might be the kitchen of the house where you grew up, but the furniture might be from sort of your grandmother's or grandfather's place or something. So I think that you make things up, um, collect from memories, and I think to me that often helps me sort of find new ideas or new windows into something. I know this sounds really far out there maybe, but I think for me it's the process of opening up the imagination and just let the ideas come into um, whatever shape or form they sort of want to come. Um, and I mean, a few books or authors that have really sort of inspired me is Siri Hustvedt, the Norwegian heritage author that's married to Paul Auster. She's an amazing writer, amazing in every way. And also, I mean, I think Paul Auster is really good. And um, but I mean, I've been reading quite a lot over the years. I mean, I constantly read, so there've been a lot of. I mean, I read the last year. I think I read a lot of Gita Serni and her uh, what do you say, her biographies or her books about the Holocaust and people who's been involved in that. I mean, she wrote the big book about Albert Speer and about Franz Stangl, who was at Treblinka, which is really amazing literature, amazing and really important literature. But I mean, there's also trying to come up with something that might be known outside of Sweden as well. Donna Tartt, The Goldfinch, I think that was an amazing book. John Williams, Stoner, it's also a really great read. Um, I think one of the strangest and most surprising books I've read this last year is a book called I Am Raider by Rafe. I think it's called Rafe Larson. Um, It's this. I picked it up by chance at a book sale, and I had really no expectations about what I was about to read. But it was one of those books that sort of just it kept going after I read it, and there are so many unanswered questions and so many things that kept going in my mind, and I think that's what I was trying to sort of express before, that literature to me has often has the ability to sort of keep going after I've finished, or if after I've finished reading like that. But other than that, I think, I mean, as far as art that's inspired me, um, as for, I mean, paintings, I've always been into art. I got that from my parents. And I remember when I was at the Art Institute of Chicago, I think it's called, and I saw the Francis Bacon, the famous painting, Figure with Meat. That was an amazing thing. And the same thing when I saw the Jasper Jones painting of the American flag at MoMA a couple of years back. That was also something really inspiring, and something amazing to see something that is so iconic as those pictures, and actually seeing them live, because I've been seeing representations of those throughout my life, but just seeing them uh, in real life, that was that was quite something else. Um, as for music that inspires me, I wouldn't say that music inspires me to create music, actually. I think it used to do that when I started out. But I don't think, I mean, nowadays, what sort of can inspire me from music is mainly, uh, I don't know, like production ideas, or mix ideas, or sort of tiny details on how to sort of solve arrangements and stuff like that. But I wouldn't say that music inspires me to create. But I mean, that said, I'm a massive music geek, and I spend way too much money on records. Um, I think one of my favorite still bands are Neurosis from the US. I still remember how sort of how it knocked me when I heard them the first time, and I still to this day, I think they're brilliant in what they do. Uh, but I mean, I try to listen to a lot of music. I have this, like, I have these cycles. So sometimes I just want to listen to really sort of nice, soft music like Nick Drake or the likes, and then we need something harsher. Um, been on a Songs of Haya binge for the last sort of couple of weeks, and since I read the biography about him. Um, so I mean, music is definitely a major part of me, and I couldn't really imagine life without music. So, but like I said, I think that as for inspiration, I'm not really looking towards other music these days. No, don't know if that's a boring answer or not, but I guess that's what it is.